Hello and welcome to Lakewood Next Daily Devotions. You know, up to this point, we've been going through the Beatitudes one verse at a time. And we've studied things like, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. You know, these first ones that we have studied have all talked about the spiritual attitudes we have in circumstances in life. But the next four that Jesus goes through, instead of talking about our spiritual attitudes, now it's talking about the virtues of Christian character. And in this next verse, in verse 7, he says this, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy." Now we can understand the word mercy. It's doing good to people. Like I can understand the idea of mercy, but when we actually look into the definition of the word that Jesus uses here, it means benevolent compassion. Now I can get this even still. Benevolent, giving something to somebody who doesn't have, out of the goodness of your heart, that's benevolent compassion. It's giving compassion to somebody who doesn't have it, who needs it. And that makes sense to me, but that's only the first half of the definition. Because the second half of the definition is in thought and action. So it's benevolent compassion in thought and action. This is where it gets challenging, because when you think about who needs mercy, very often it's the ones that have wronged you. It's the ones who aren't really worthy of your benevolent compassion. And so whenever it comes to that, one of the questions that I have is, okay, so how do I apply this when people have wronged me? Maybe even people who've not apologized for their wrong, or people who don't even think that they have wronged me, or however it goes. You know, I could be driving by on the road and see them broken down, and I can pull over. I could help change a tire, and I can give benevolent compassion. But whenever I take it from the next level of saying benevolent compassion, not just with our actions, but with our thoughts as well, it becomes a challenge. And then we realize who actually told us to do this. Jesus. He says, be merciful. And then he qualifies it for saying, for they shall receive mercy. Meaning, be merciful so that you can receive mercy. This is a really hard teaching. And until I get it from the perspective of Christ, it becomes almost impossible to apply to my life. Because if it's just left on my will, I don't know, maybe I'm too petty sometimes to be able to offer benevolent compassion in both thought and action. But then I realize that when we extend mercy, we're actually modeling the mercy that Jesus showed us. We're modeling Jesus' compassion. Romans 5:8 tells us that God demonstrates His love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. 1 John 4:19 tells us that we love because Jesus first loved us. So God, who accepts the unworthy, who accepts the guilty and the sinner and the rebel, this God accepts us, we who have wronged Him and are worthy of His judgment. But now, instead of finding His judgment, we find mercy where judgment should be, where punishment should be. And so we show mercy even and especially when it's not deserved, not because we are so loving and merciful and compassionate, but because we are the recipients of such a great love and compassionate mercy that our only response to this is to give that love out to others. We love because He first loved us. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. This is a hard teaching. I encourage you, take a second. Pray to God about this and ask Him, okay, God, what do I do next with this? I hope you're blessed this week. We'll see you. This is on Friday that you're watching this one, so we will see you on Monday for the next session of Daily Devotions.